I just remember feeling very moved and very grateful anytime a song came in completed. I just thought it was really, really epic.
And I wonder if it would be true for other instruments if we were passing it along, but really they all sound so different. I think that no person even used a similar preset, and if they did, it was like altered a lot. I was like, wow, this just like sprung up out of the ground spontaneously is what it felt like. So
totally.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Details. This is a show where an artist discusses 5 special details from a recent release with me, Molly Mary O'Brien. Here are Meg and Beth from Dial Up Records talking about their compilation Volume 1, The Organelle, a project in which 12 contributing musicians, including Meg and Beth, each spent 1 week experimenting with the synthesizer to create one song, resulting in an extremely cool compilation album.
Meg and I have been friends for a long time and have been frequent collaborators over the years. I was introduced to the Organelle. So it's created by this company called Critter and Guitari. They're like a synthesizer company, and they call it a pocket computer. At the beginning of the pandemic, I bought the synthesizer. It's like expensive, so I was like, well, if there's any time for me to be locked up playing with the new synthesizer, it's now. And then fast forward, I was seeing Meg for the first time in a really long time, also because of the pandemic, and was excited because we had been working on music together for so long. It turned into something where it was like, well, do you want to borrow it and play around with it? And that started a conversation altogether about like, oh, it'd be cool if we could just loan this to people and have people use it.
Even initially the idea was that like Beth and I just could collaborate on some, like she wanted to make ambient songs, and if we could like pass it back and forth and work on like a project just together. And then I think it expanded, or we just thought it would be a cool way to connect with other musicians if we were like, here, take it, and what can everyone do with it?
And also definitely during the pandemic, the idea just excited us, figuring out a way where we could collaborate with a lot of people. And it seemed like the circumstance, like the idea of a project of like dropping off a synthesizer and then picking it up later so that everyone could record a song on the album was just like a cool way to get back in touch with people or reach out to people that we knew were working on music or would want to be involved after a period of like not talking to anyone. Having access to an instrument that you have for just a period of time to like explore for the first time, especially a synthesizer, which is a notoriously hard instrument to approach at first. It was a cool way to like introduce people to this and like let them kind of toy around with it and then have a goal in mind so they're not just kind of like clicking some buttons being like, okay, but to like figure it out enough to incorporate it in a song.
Will you tell me a little bit about what it's like to interact with the synthesizer and like if there's anything special about it or like different that, you know, I'm not a gearhead by any means, but like kind of anything in particular that makes it like a different or interesting?
I bought the Organelle almost specifically because I was intimidated by most synthesizers, and it's very simple in its design. It has a screen, it has about 3 or 4 knobs that are like, you know, doesn't have like a list of items. It's just plain wooden circular keys that are, you can tell kind of mimics a keyboard, like a piano keyboard.
Mm-hmm. I think when you turn on the Organelle, you don't have to know anything. Mm-hmm. Like immediately it will make sound. And I can't say that's true of every like MIDI keyboard or synth that you pick up. And then you can also plug your guitar in and play it through this like tiny little, it's like a tiny amp almost, which is super fun. And
that's so cool.
Requires, you know, if you're just a guitar player, you could use it that way. Cousin Luke is a band I'm in with my boyfriend, and we live together. So we had been making almost like an entire album over COVID, and, you know, so many songs, like 40 songs, none of them done, I guess. And when we were doing this, it was the first time we had actual constraints and like accountability to someone else to finish something. I can't control myself at the follow through. The actual like main synth loop that you'll hear on my song was like pretty much the first thing that I played when I sat down and turned it on, and I couldn't replicate it when I was trying to record it for real. So it's actually like fully a voice memo of that.
That's amazing.
Which is fun.
In the past, when I've been in bands, I would do some of the songwriting and it was all like guitar based. I had kind of been out of practice for a bit with guitar, and I was also listening to a lot of ambient music during the pandemic and just kind of like getting into like learning more about it. So I was like, okay, well, this is a cool instrument to try to make an ambient song. And I used like voice memos of a hike that I took with Meg during the same trip that this idea came from. We like went hiking. A lot of layered voice samples and a lot of synthesizer noises and made it work. Yeah.
When you're getting these songs back, I assume that's, you know, very exciting to like hear what people made. Was there any song in particular that like surprised you in terms of like the way they used it, or just where you got it back and you're just like, oh shit?
All of them, I was like, oh shit, honestly, because people really did things that I didn't know that they did. It's not like I didn't know that they could do it, but singing, like people recording vocals when I thought they just played guitar, or Ezra's song was very surprising to me. It's so good. Feels like it has a lot of like Foley-esque noises. He wrote in the booklet he wanted a song that like started somewhere and ended somewhere completely different, and I thought that one was like, I was like, wow, this is crazy good song.
Yeah. And that was one of the best parts of this whole project, was watching emails roll in with everyone's songs. That was a true thrill. Like that was like very rewarding.
I had this one line that I'd written with sort of the Green Ray hook, and I thought that vibe would fit well with the sound of the organelle, so I just started fleshing out that song. I ended up using it in a few different ways. I used like a synth that was kind of like a theremin sound. I got some like weird bubbly like water sounds in the background. I've been getting into slide guitar a lot in quarantine, so I honestly don't remember what effect, but I used a guitar effect, and like using the organelle as a pedal did some slide in there too.
We had to say it was bound to be.
Just had lots of fun jamming with it.
I got the organelle for like a day at least. I was just like, I don't know how to use this. And I was totally lost. Like, it's so many different things you can do with it. We were like, let's just play sounds that we can possibly get from it until we like get inspired. Mm-hmm. And then one of the sounds, just this like soothing kind of like meditative wave sound. And then we like lowered the pitch, and then basically just that inspired the whole song to come from that.
You said it looks like the rain from far away. Turns out it's bugs on the top of the lake.
It's been really difficult to like have creative drive during the pandemic and during all this isolation, because I know that we both are very inspired by being around people. We're definitely extroverts.
Yeah.
So the idea
being outside.
Being outside, seeing
Yeah.
other music. So the idea of knowing what it's like to not have inspiration or not have access to all of these things kind of paralleled this idea of like, okay, there's not a lot that we have here to work with. We have this organelle, we have like our lyrics, we have all of that, but it's not like we have the time that you would usually put towards making music. Playing around with this idea of restriction created a whole new possibility, which was really cool.
Everyone wrote like incredible songs, and all of them sounded different, but they all had the same thread. It was really cool. It showed us and kind of opened up this conversation of accessibility of instruments. There's so many instruments out there that we want to try, and that we could set up a system where people can try it too, and when it's usually like such a hard thing to access and try out.
A big inspo for us, or me now through Beth, is the lending library. Is that what it's called?
It's
in
like
Brooklyn?
the synthesizer library or something.
Which I think is like opening up now to more people, where they have a bank of instruments that you can lend out. I think even if we had our own mini version of that for like our connection, that would be a great outcome of doing multiple volumes.
It was like such a team effort in a way. that was really inspiring and so much fun.
I'm gonna shout out Declan Moy for doing the album artwork, which is so good.
Yeah.
And he has a song on the Organelle. The first track is his. Just a really great artist who was given zero direction and made like an absolutely perfect album cover.
We had it up digitally on Bandcamp, and then we got risograph prints of the artwork and we dubbed them onto tapes, and that was quite an adventure too.
Beth dubbed them all. Like,
I've listened to this album start to finish over 50 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a labor of love. I have a great tape deck now, and now I feel like I can make tapes for anyone if anyone needs any. But
that's so wild. That is truly do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and it really like extends farther than that. JQ has a track on the album, like made a whole homemade screen printing rig exactly to the shape of a tape, and then screen printed onto the tapes themselves so that it could be like labeled in a beautiful way.
Justin mastered it. He's also on the album. It's really fun. People were so down to do it and so great about it. Like, out of this really small idea, so beyond our dreams of what it turned into.
We feel encouraged and just like very inspired to do another one, and we really hope people want to do it too and provide songs.